Hello everyone, I'm Tim from Tim's PC and I build custom PCs to suit anyone's needs or budget. Also live stream my builds and repairs for transparency and educational purposes. So if you'd like to see get put together live, send me a message today. Alrighty, so we're back here on Friday night and we've got an RX6700xt build. So these have come down in price a fair bit actually. These are about probably $150 or so cheaper than what I'd seen them more towards when they came out. So you can pick one of these up for about $600 right now. So it makes it a pretty good value proposition. So you've got a Ryzen 5 5600. We've got our old friend the MSI B550M Pro VDH Wi-Fi motherboard. We've got a Radeon 6700XT. It's the MSI Mech 2X. We got a 1TB SSD. We got 32 gigabytes of RAM. We got a 1TB hard drive, 750 watt power supply, and we're going to be putting it in a Silverstone Farah R1 case. So this is a good value case with 4 pre-installed addressable RGB fans. So you actually get the fans in the photo with this one, whereas a lot of the other cases they'll put photos of them with the RGB fans, but they're sort of sold separately, and that can really increase the cost of your build. Like if you consider what you pay for a case here, you can pick these up. These are $90 on special right now with the 4 fans. I mean, you can pay about $15 each for a fan like this new as an individual item. That's $60 and it's a $90 case. So basically we've just bought the fans and we got the rest of the case for $30. So if you look at it like that, it's a pretty good value proposition. You can mount a 240mm radiator up top. There's a decent amount of room there for it. So no real issues there. I've done a couple so far. So yeah, if you're after a good value case right now, definitely worth checking out. But other than that, let's get started. We're a little bit late tonight, so don't mind me as I blow through this. So get out our IO shield, SATA cables. Not that we need the SATA cables really. I've got so many SATA cables. Hey Brad, how you going? Good to have you with us. I think that was Brad who came over this afternoon, who picked up his faulty graphics card. Yeah, he told me about it, and he was like, I don't think it's the graphics card, and I was just sort of like looking at it online before I looked at it in person. I said to him, I'm like, mate, that is graphics card issues right there. Like, if it's not, it's got something to do with graphics on the motherboard, but it's weird. It's the only time I've seen a PC do what was in the video was when we had a bad graphics card. And like, I never assume that I've seen everything. I think as soon as you think you've seen everything, you're going to be proven wrong. There's always something new, and there's always a fault that you've never seen. I don't think any tech has seen like literally every fault before. You can talk about it and stuff like that as a group, and it'll be a case of, you know, oh, well, I've seen it, I've heard of that. No, I haven't heard of that. And you know, you ask the group, you get 10 different answers. Certain problems you know about because you've dealt with a major problem with regards to something. Other things, you know, you got to know how to solve problems and how to go about solving problems and finding solutions when you don't have the answers. It's all good at doing shit that you know, but it's solving a problem that you haven't seen before. That's where it gets a little bit more challenging. So we've got our standard AM4 cooler. That's fine with a 5600. You can get away with the stock cooler. Some people are like, oh, but what if you want to overclock? It's like, most people don't overclock. Okay. Yeah. Hey George, how you going? Good to have you with us. Isn't that George there as well?
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Sorry. She really doesn't like it when I mishear her. Alrighty, so that is our cooler installed. So I guess the only trick with these is just to route that cable discreetly, and I guess when you're putting them on, just making sure that you definitely have it screwed down firmly on all sides. But before you even get that far as putting the cooler on, make sure that the pins have actually gone inside the socket and the CPU is actually mounted properly. Or you'll have a situation like that PC we had referred to us that had the bent CPU pins. Alright, so for our SSD, we'll put this in the bottom slot there. We'll leave the top slot accessible. That's generally advisable. At least when I build someone a computer, it's normally advisable. It's good to have it nice and easy for the end user to upgrade later at a later time, rather than like having to explain to the end user how to take the graphics card out if they're not technically minded. Because that can be a pretty scary thing for some people to do. Okay. Needed scissors to open this one. So I got our Silicon Power 3200 megahertz CL16 DIMMs here. So Silicon Power SSD and Silicon Power RAM. So these are good value RGB DIMMs. You can pick them up for about $140 for a 32 gigabyte kit. So yeah, those DDR4 prices are excellent right now, if I do say so myself. Okay, so that is actually our board all prepped and ready to go. So we've got a hard drive here, we've got a hard drive and, sorry, a power supply I should say, and our graphics card for a bit later. So, here's our case. Alright, so we do have these cables in here to deal with from the fans, but they're really easy to deal with. Okay. So the first thing I'll draw your attention to is the hard drive tray here. So to remove the hard drive tray, you've actually got to lie the PC over, or the case over this way, and then you've got 2 bolts to undo. There's also 2 different positions that this little chassis can sort of sit in, so it can give you a little bit of extra room with the power supply cables if necessary. But I don't think we're really going to need that. But I might move it just to be safe. Okay, so our hard drive tray here, we can put a hard drive, yes, in the tray there, but we can also bolt one to the top. And because if you put it in the tray there, you can screw it in with the bolt holes on the sides, whereas the top position you can only screw from down here. So we need to actually have this empty to mount one on the top. So that's the position I'm going to use first, and it would be the way that you'd be mounting it if you had 2 drives. You'd be mounting this one on the top first, and then you'd be mounting the one underneath, because you need to access the screw holes to get this drive mounted. There we go. That's positioned right. So I got some spare bolts lying around here for this, but all the bolts are included with the case. Yeah. What's that? Wet and cold today. Yeah, it's been a bit like that. We're getting like weird sort of like light rain here. It's just sort of going off and on all day. And normally here it's either like sunny or it absolutely pisses down with rain, right? But today we've got this weird sort of like, I don't know, like tropical rain, like rain that they get up at Cairns or Innisfail, or one of those, one of those places where like the mould is on the sidewalk from the drip line of all the shops as you walk up Main Street and shit. One of those kind of places. Okay, so I'll put this in the position that gives us a bit more room with the power supply. Oh, that's not the right bolt. There we go. And so, like I said, we just got 2 bolts to remove that chassis. That's what you want to do if you want to add another one of these 3.5-inch drives. Alrighty, here's our 4th fan. It's already around the back where we want it. So we can hook pretty much everything up at the back here. And see, that's the thing about this value case. There's plenty of cases that you can get cheap, right? But how many of them are 90 bucks with the 4 RGB fans? Plus, if you don't have a motherboard with enough fan headers for all that, you get a 4-fan splitter. You also get an RGB controller if you don't have RGB that you can hook up to. However, we've got RGB on this board, so we can just hook up to that without any dramas. So it makes our life a bit easier, but we do only have, we've got 5, oh hang on, we've got 5 fan headers on this board. So that's actually going to be enough. We don't even need this splitter. So happy days. Doesn't hurt to have an extra splitter lying around. Yeah, I don't know what that was. Yeah.
I wrote my audio today on my AM4 motherboard. My next upgrade is going to be AM5. Could I just put a sound card instead to save money? Or just buying and use buying a new AM4 motherboard directly?
The thing is, if you're planning on going AM5, then just upgrade to AM5, I guess. Or use another form of connection. I mean, you can probably, can you Bluetooth to your speakers? Most modern speakers have like a Bluetooth function built in. So maybe you can make do with Bluetooth or something like that. Just in the meantime, that would save you buying a sound card. Because there's normally more than one way to get your audio through. You could also, you know, depending on what your monitor's like, your monitor might have a bit of audio, and you can send your audio down through your HDMI cable. You know, that's an alternative as well. I probably wouldn't try to buy a sound card, because the problem is it's become such a niche item that you'll probably have trouble selling it secondhand. Like, you know, if you want to sell a second-hand graphics card, that's no problems. There's people lined up to buy second-hand graphics cards. Sound cards, not as much these days, because it's all integrated with pretty much every motherboard. Even the really cheap ones come with integrated audio. So it's like having a sound card baked into the motherboard, and that's the problem that you'll get with it. I mean, if you understand the risk and you can get a sound card at a good price, yeah, you can chuck a sound card in it, and then you can connect to your speakers by the speaker output, the little green 3.5-inch jack plug. But yeah, I would look at ways of bypassing until you've got enough money to spend on an AM4 motherboard and some DDR5 RAM. DDR5 RAMs come down. AM5 motherboards looking pretty good. Still, I think it's still cheaper. It's still better value on the AMD side of things to go with AM4, and I guess that's those clearance prices coming through as like they get rid of excess stock of like the chipset for the the AM4 motherboards. And so you'll see some good deals there, and the same on the CPU side of things. And that's holding AM5 back a bit. But I think at this stage, AMD will be looking at where they're going to sit with their new CPUs for their next generation. Because this generation was a bit of a technology change generation for AMD, so they're sort of learning the ins and outs of what this platform is going to be like with the new socket type. And yeah, I know they've had that for Threadripper for ages, but Threadripper's fundamentally different on a few different levels. The consumer chip is a lot smaller, so it's actually a lot physical, less space to work with. The Threadripper chips are huge. It makes a bit of a difference with what they're trying to do on a technical level. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'm sure their next generation is going to be better, but what really matters is the price. AMD have the reputation of being a cheap brand, the cheaper option, and that's not always the case. It's certainly not the case with AM5. If not, you'd see me recommending it more to customers, basically. Okay. So there's a little clip up here that you can use to sort of get your keep your fan cables out of the way. There's a really annoying thing that can happen is you'll get your I/O shield sort of caught. You get the cable caught in the I/O shield when you put your motherboard in, I should say. Alright, so we've got a couple of more offsets there. Yeah.
In this voltage, there's no Bluetooth, only Logitech, one audio controller motherboard sitting around for 6 months. And I can't continue for full system.
Oh yeah. So okay. In that case, maybe have a look and see if you can find a sound card. I would imagine that there's definitely some out there. Just make sure it's a PCIe sound card. Specs don't really matter as long as it works, I guess. I guess that's the hard thing to check. But, you know, if you can pick one up for, you know, around that $50 mark, I'd probably do that if you don't have Bluetooth, or like you can't use Bluetooth connection for your audio. Yeah, I don't know. See, I've the last audio system I bought is my soundbar and subwoofer, and that's all I've used for like a discrete audio solution. So I've been using Bluetooth and optical for years. Nothing else. Because like I'm either here, I'm either sort of like at my computer listening to music or watching something, or I'm in the car. So I don't really need any other sound system in my house. I live fairly simply. One, two, three, four. Oh no, we're all right. Thought we were missing an RGB, but we're not. And so we got all of our RGB chained up through the one and so all I do with that is just bunch up cables there, and we just put one cable tie around that bunch. And so then we've just got the one bunch of cables to deal with if and when a fan dies. So unfortunately most fans just come with a 1-year warranty. Yeah, bloody hell. That's a very uncommon thing. That doesn't normally happen to people. I could say that I've never had that exact problem that someone's asked me to try to fix for them. Okay, so we've got a few different fan cables here, and we're going to plug them all into the motherboard, because that's generally the best way of doing it. If you've got the headers, you can plug into the motherboard. Plug into the motherboard. It's just way easier to control all of your fans. Because if you have a fan controller or a splitter cable, for example, then if you plug into one fan header for your controller, yes, all your fans will spin, but as you adjust the fan speed settings on that one header, it'll adjust it for all of your fans. And that might be okay for some people, but if you want to be able to control all of your fans and tune it exactly, hook it up to the fan headers on the board if possible. Okay, and our final one. Down the bottom there. Alrighty, there's all of our fan headers hooked up directly to the motherboard there. So we can control each of these fans individually. So if you're wondering which way to put these bloody bottom cables on, it can be a little bit confusing. But the ones that have the two pins, if you just put the writing to the outside of the socket, so the two that are the two that are on the bottom there are sort of upside down from your view, so you don't see the writing because the writing faces out. And then the top ones, the writing all faces up. However, the ones that it's just two 1 pins, you've got a negative and you've got a positive there. And so essentially it's negative on the left, positive on the right. Alrighty, so this one down here, speaking of all things audio here tonight, that is the front panel audio. So, question with your audio, does your case not have the speaker output on it that's connected up? Because I mean that's the obvious replacement to your motherboard being damaged. And it's the same thing, it's the same connection. The green port on your case, the headphone port, it's the same connection. It's connected to the same part of the sound card on the motherboard itself. So yeah, don't forget that. Alright, so this is our CPU power up the top here. Pretty simple stuff plugging that in, especially when you don't have the cooler. Yeah. Who is it? Ray? Hey Ray, how you going? Good to have you with us. It's been happening. Happy Friday. Oh no, this board, I love this board because it's got our horizontally orientated USB 3 port. Just looks bloody neat and tidy. And it's this one right here. Doesn't stick out, you can just plug it in on the side there, nice and easy. While we are on that part of the motherboard, we'll go and plug in a SATA cable. And this one will be hidden behind the motherboard there. Sorry, behind the graphics card, I should say. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's pretty much it. All of our cables are tucked away discreetly there, because we've got a micro ATX board in an ATX style case. So it's really important to make sure our cabling's on port, because these look really messy if they're not done quite right. You know, like the old video piracy thing at the start of VHS cassettes. Have you ever bought or rented a videotape that wasn't quite right? How many times did we see that when we were kids? Or not kids? How many times did you see that, you know, as an adult just 30 years ago? For me, it was growing up as a kid, and he used to fast forward through it. I used to laugh because there was some pirated tapes and stuff like that lying around my house. I'm like, ha, free movies are bad. Little 6-year-old me forming my my perception of the world. Free movies bad, like Ralph Wiggum voice. Okay, so all we got left is to put in our 6700XT, and we're utilising slots 1 and 2. Oh, we've forgotten to take out the metal, and so I've got capacitors right up here at the end of that thing there, so I can't quite get this bit off, but you can also bend it this way. Works just the same. Now that might sound really obvious to some people, but it's not to others. Okay, here it is, 6700XT. I know this card. I know your face. No, I did a Lord of the Rings quote and she's still not listening. I was speaking as the dead Rohan King. Christine's not feeling too well tonight. Everyone give Christine a shout out. Okay. If you want to be like that. Well, that was a shitty zip tie, wasn't it? Alrighty, that is looking like a rig. Okay. Alright, yeah, 2CO is the latest version of BIOS for this. If you want to enable our XMP profile. But other than that, it's just a straight install. Alrighty. So it won't be as drawn out as last night with the Armory crate. MSI have kind of fixed their software. Credit where credit's due, right? Alright, Cinebench for our stress test. Huh? Did you turn off the HDCP? Oh, sweet.
Told me to do that before I started.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Whereas says earlier to when I played 1080p, I'm averaging 500 to 700 FPS. I'm watching how many buildings you like.
Oh, just the one tonight. We got more coming up for tomorrow and Sunday night. What's up?
What do you call an illegally parked frog? Toad.
An illegally parked frog is a toad. Yeah. Yep, I can definitely get into that. We hate fucking toads. We're not toad fans in Queensland. In fact, in Queensland we've got rituals for dealing with cane toads that involve golf clubs and cricket bats and just whatever object you can find. out in the bush, you got and shotguns, good for a group. Scatters. You take out multiples at once. But no, that's only out in the country where it's allowed. We got gun laws in Australia, if you don't know. So no one really can own a gun. You can. There are some ways around it, but it's really tightly regulated. You got to be part of a gun club, and you got to buy a safe for your gun and a safe for your ammo. They can't be stored together in the same safe and all this bullshit. Like that's how it is over here. And as a result, no one gets shot. So there's that. Alright, so we can launch MSI Center and get that ball rolling. Oh, yeah, it doesn't let you until you have the thing down the bottom. I don't know how many more people are going to read it if it makes you do that. I still don't think many will. And I think that's the point. I think they give you so much information about things to sort of like make you just accept it. Yeah. Hey man, how you going? Good to have you with us.
This week went to Queensland, went to the family, this house. It was a great treat for them.
Ah, yes. Well, they're the good frogs. They're the frogs that we like up here. And you know, it wasn't that long ago. Shit, I sound like an old timer. Back in my day, yeah, no, like it wasn't uncommon up here to find them in basically every second toilet, but it's become a lot less common. So if you have septic tanks, the frogs sometimes get into the septic tanks and they'll swim up the pipe. That's normally what happens. So yeah, out where we have some property. You can go camping there, right? And if you go camping, you'll definitely find some frogs in the toilet and stuff like that around there, around the dam, Wivenhoe Dam. Yeah, Queensland got a lot of very, very interesting biology, put it that way. We got freaking crazy ass dino birds up north. We got the invasive cane toad. We got shitloads of brown snakes. Like, fuck, I don't think there's anywhere else in Australia that's got as many brown snakes as Queensland. In Queensland, every third or fourth house has a python in the roof. Pythons are endemic in Queensland. You can find them pretty much anywhere other than right out in the desert. And they're sort of a natural part of the ecosystem. They do their thing. Normally don't cause problems, but they will eat your cat. So watch out for your fluffy mouse. They'll get eaten. I said that to a guy today that, you know, he was saying there's possums in the roof. I'm like, mate, this is like the one time in your life where you need a snake. There's not many other times in life where you need a snake, but when you got a possum in the roof, it's one of those times. And he just kind of laughed, and I'm like, no, serious. Like, there's based on the numbers and how prevalent they are, pretty much every 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 houses, depending on how urban it is, I guess, we'll have a python living in it. They're naturally drawn to the houses because the possums are drawn to the houses to nest, and then they just go on smell. They're like, oh, nice. And if what they like to do is they like to come in there, eat the possums, and then go hibernate for the winter months, and then they come back out and they're like, ha, on to the next place with some possums. And they usually move around. If you're gonna find them like sort of roaming the street, you'll normally find them roaming the street at night. They don't usually move around too much in the middle of the day. They don't like to come out like onto the street and stuff like that in the middle of the day. They're certainly more active during the day because they're reptiles, But on a hot summer's night, you'll see them sometimes just crossing the street. Not like a heap of them, but, you know, if you walk around, you'll see that sort of shit happening. I remember one night we were living out in Ipswich, and we had a 4-meter python just decided to cross the road or something, and it ended up on our front gate. And then we had this little tiny cat that we used to call little cat or little Nedic, which is kitten backwards because she's half feral, so she's like this psycho crazy ass cat. So I started calling her Nedic because she's so fucked up. I'm not used to. I didn't grow up with cats. I learnt to like cats. Yeah.
Emily says hi.
Hey Emily, how you going? Good to have you with us.
Miss Tasia says you clicked me on video driver.
Oh, I did too. Haha. Whoops. Shows how often I install NVIDIA drivers and use NVIDIA cards. So we are up here, AMD Adrenaline. Yeah. Loves the...
Rides.
Oh, at Dreamworld and stuff. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's good fun. Do you know Christine's never been to a water park? I'm going to have to take her down to Wet and Wild really, really soon. Yeah.
Ryan says, have you read terms and conditions? No, not all of them.
No, I mean, it's... Those sort of documents are like legal documents to stop the company having their like intellectual property and stuff like used by other people, unscrupulous people. If you get into the nuts of it, the other thing that they try to slip past you as well is getting information updates from your computer. It's usually fairly benign, but you know, that's what they want you to think, right? No, I'm not a I'm not a conspiracy theorist, just a little FYI there. Yeah. Oh, is that Channel Country? Yeah. Oh, up north, the Gulf, Carpentaria.
That's a Flinders Highway.
Oh shit. Where's that between? It'd be one of the main rivers there, I'm assuming. Between...
It's just before Julia Creek.
Just before Julia Creek. Jesus.
It stretches all the way up to the top of the screen. Like,
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
There's another
Wow.
big bit over there as well.
The Flinders Highway, man. Holy shit.
I think it's fucked up.
That thing gets fucked. And it's, you know, it's one of those things, it costs a fortune to keep that highway going. Because as soon as they're finished fixing it, it's ready to start again on the other end, basically, because it'll be fucked. You know, I've driven down the Flinders Highway, and it's just corrugated road the whole way. Sometimes it's smallish corrugations, sometimes it's big corrugations like this, and you kind of like nearly lose control of the car as you go over the top of them.
Someone's telling you to use a better mic.
Use a better mic. Well,
Shame.
okay.
You
Got any suggestions, mate? Or are you just here to criticise?
You got some money to buy a new one?
You got money to buy a new one? Yeah. Well, if you think my mic's shit, and you want to suggest me to get a new mic, go ahead. Suggest away.
Emily says it's my lunchtime, it's midday here in the UK.
Did he make a suggestion on a better mic? Or is he just here to be a dick? Alright, while that's going on, we can set up our hard drive. Oh, no, we're going to get the MSI drivers forcing a restart on us. Yeah. Yeah, that Adrenaline software can be a bit of a pain in the ass to install sometimes. I mean, but the thing is, with the Nvidia one, it probably only fucks up, I should say, like 10% of the time. The AMD one, pretty much anything fucks it up. Windows Update fucks it up. That's why it wasn't working, supposedly, when I tried to install it before. And that's the AMD driver, not when I mistakenly went and clicked on the GeForce Experience app. Alright, everything's installed as such.
It's probably just background noise.
Yeah.
That's going on.
The only thing I can think of is that the mic has been turned up or down from what it normally is. Okay, not getting disk management coming up here for some reason. Let's try that again. No, that's interesting. So if I open up Crystal Disk Info, is it talking to my drives either? It's talking to my drives. So if you're wondering how I could tell the difference when Windows was installing which one was the SSD and which one was the hard drive if they're both 1 terabyte, Windows will, well, the motherboard will default your SATA connected drive as drive 0 before any of the M2 NVMe SSDs. So that's how I knew that drive 0 was the hard drive and the other one was the SSD, in case you're wondering. Wants to do one more restart and then we should be good to go. Okay, so we're getting there. This is for a local guy right here in sunny southeast Queensland. In fact, he's right here in Logan. I reckon I got a pretty good Logan accent. Alright, our graphics card's installed, Ethernet, our 2 drives, our memory running at 3200, and our CPU. They run at variable speeds these days, so don't worry too much about it jumping up and down in the gigahertz there. This CPU here, this one goes up to like 4.3 on a boost, I think. Alright. So let's run some gaming benchmarks. We'll run Heaven here on high, no anti-aliasing. And so this number here below RAM is how many frames per second it's currently running at. Alrighty, so that was heaven there on the out of the box settings. We'll run Valley here on Ultra with max anti-aliasing. Anti-aliasing's a bit like line smoothing basically. It's just extra calculations for the graphics card to do. Yeah.
He's asleep on his cat stand.
It's actually a nice night here in Brisbane. We don't have the air conditioner on. We've got the window open, so the cat, he's sitting at the window, looking out the window with his fluffy cat eyes. Probably like it's like midday for us, for him right now. The way that cat's eyes are. Probably see clearly. Probably sees all these little things running around in the rain. He's mesmerised. He hasn't even asked for he hasn't even been begging for more food. Have you given him a fluffy cat tin?
Yeah, I have.
That's what we call tuna, fluffy cat tins. Alrighty, so that was Valley there on Ultra with max anti-aliasing. So Valley's more demanding benchmark than Heaven, even if we ran it on the same settings. That's what the difference in FPS is all about. And the final one we do is Superposition at 4K. Alrighty, and so that was a superposition there at 4K. And that's obviously timed out there, that's alright. Okay, so we're at the end of the night here now. No, he's a good boy. He's pretty much in the middle of his coma at that stage. He stays up all night, and then by dawn he's come out and found himself a nice, comfortable spot to spend the day asleep. That's what he does all day. It's a tough life sleeping 16 hours a day. He's literally only awake and doing things like 1/3 of the time. There's a 2 out of 3 chance that if you come over, he'll be like doing nothing. That's how he rolls. Alrighty, so we'll track our temperatures here in hardware monitor, and we'll stress our graphics card with Firmark, and we'll run Cinebench R23 at the same time. And so this one here, our CPU, that can go up to 95 degrees, and down here our graphics card, the hotspot can go up to 110 degrees, and our actual graphics card temperature, the other one there, that can get up to 83 degrees. So plenty of headroom there. We're not going to have any problems with this tech in this case. So the only thing I haven't put on is the Wi-Fi antennae. What's up? Oh, I hate that. Don't you hate that?
Yes.
I really hate that. Sometimes you try to go back to bed with the best intentions. You know, the best intentions, but it just doesn't work out for you, unfortunately. But yes, here we are for another night. Are we back to full screen? Okay, so this one's all ready to go. So thanks everyone for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you all tomorrow in the next video.